Hello, Homeworthy. My name is Sally Draughon. I want to welcome you to my home in Macon, Georgia. Come on in and let me show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Scan the QR code to subscribe to our new channel, Weddingworthy, where we celebrate amazing couples and the love stories behind their perfect day.
I'm Sally Draughon. I live in Macon, Georgia. I'm an interior designer. I own Previews, Interiors, and Antiques. Welcome to my home. We lived across the street from this house about 23 years ago. The children that lived in the home that was on this property came running over to our house. Our house was always the neighborhood hangout. I thought they were just coming into play. They started screaming their house was on fire. I looked out the window and it was. At first I thought they were kidding. Before calling 911, I screamed at my children who were upstairs to come down to hold on to these kids to make sure they didn't come running back to get any of their things. Called 911, then I called their parents. I knew where they had gone. The mom was at a meeting and the dad had gone to get dinner. This was before cell phones. It was hard to get in touch with people. I did get in touch with the mom at the meeting. I called her, told her her house was on fire. The only thing she said was, "Have you got my children?" And I said, "I do, and they're safe." And the house burned to the ground. Years later, we bought the property and we built a totally different house. I had been going to Europe a lot buying antiques. I saw a house similar to this, made out of this kind of stone, had a slate roof, and went from there. I love the way when you walk in the front door of this house, it's very open. You can see all the way through to the backyard, which is beautiful. We have a view of the golf course, which just makes my husband very happy. He is an avid golfer, and it's open. You walk in and you can see, when you walk all the way to the back door, you can see into every room. The openings are wide. I love the way it flows. We enjoy entertaining. Our children love this home. Our grandchildren have loved it. They've slid up and down the staircase. They've gone out on the balcony upstairs. They've actually gotten locked out there one time when my husband was keeping our grandchildren, but it all ended well. So yes, we have enjoyed this home. We live in this home. Welcome to our foyer. As you can see, it goes up. It's two-story. One of my favorite things about this foyer are the beams. I saw beams like this in Italy, and I thought they were fabulous. I took pictures, came back, had the boxes built. They're just plywood boxes up there, not real beams. And they were painted, obviously, on the floor, not up there. And Carol Poe painted them, and I think she did a great job. They faded a little bit through the years and improved with age. And I have enjoyed this circular staircase. So many people think it's very hard to put a pattern rug like this Ushak, but it can be done if you have a talented installer. I love the mix of modern and very traditional in this foyer. You can see these chairs have the acrylic arms, and this is a very old settee with a white cowhide on it. I bought these chandeliers in Italy, as well as the matching sconces. I don't always like matchy, but these were so incredible, I just couldn't resist. I think this bookcase is incredible. It was the top of a buffet. The bottom part was destroyed, so I rescued the top. It was in a big old warehouse. Didn't pay a lot for it, and I just think it works so well in this foyer since it's very narrow. Love this little niche under the stairway. I've caught my grandchildren sitting in this chair many times reading a book. Love to entertain. My husband and I both love to entertain. And I have this bar here that's made out of an old French armoire. Just added the cabinetry below and the marble. And if I don't want to see it, I can always close it up. But I do think it's pretty, so I leave it open most of the time. The glassware in here is William Yoward. It's my favorite. It is so gorgeous. It's made in England, and it's all hand etched. I think it's so pretty. And on the top shelves, I have porcelain displayed. Porcelain, to me, is beautiful in any room. You can't reach glasses on the top shelves, so you might as well have something up there that's pretty. And over here, I found this little statue. I call him Don Quixote, and I just think he's great here by the back door. Right here, I have this window box. I bought it not knowing where I would use it. I found it in an antique shop. And when we were going through the plans of this house, the only place to put the sink was against a blank wall. So I thought, I want to look at a window. So we had this leaded glass window made, and I think it works great. When we were doing these house plans, I really wanted a large foyer, and I think this works perfectly. I love walking in the front door, seeing all the way through to the back, and when we entertain, it just works beautifully. Some people head to the dining room, some to the kitchen keeping room, on into the living room. And when the house was built, all this ironwork was black. Recently, well, I guess a couple of years ago, I had a Macon artist paint it the silver and gold. It always had the little brass touches, and I think it's so pretty. Art doesn't always have to be a painting. For instance, I found these shutters in Indonesia. I went there to have my kitchen cabinets carved over 25 years ago. That was quite an experience. I'll get into it when we get into the kitchen. But I love art. And anytime I find something, I buy it if I can afford it. And this was one of the first pieces I had for the foyer. We have always had golden retrievers, and I had no intention. We were on a trip, had no intention of buying art, but there I found this painting of the golden retrievers, and I couldn't resist. And this I found in Highlands at an art gallery, and I just thought she was perfect. Putting on her makeup, dressed in orange, and next to it, as I said, you don't always have to have a painting. I love the metal wall hanging. We absolutely felt like we were building our forever home. I think the style of this house is really a cross between French and Italian. I love the extreme dormers on the outside. I love the angles. I love the symmetry. The symmetry of this house is very important to me. And it is our forever home. We have no intention of leaving. As we enter the dining room, please notice this arch. I have several of them around the house. I saw an arch like this in a castle in Europe, brought a picture of it back, did a little drawing, and my contractor made plywood molds so he could recreate them. I think they're very interesting. This wall covering in here makes me happy every time I look at it. It's Mural Source by Paul Montgomery, Enchanted Garden. It just has the most beautiful colors in it to me. It's so happy. Bought this table in Europe years ago, and it's made out of parquet from old flooring. I think it's very interesting, and I love all the inlay. This table is great. It seats as it is. I can get 10 people around it, and with a leaf and a pinch, I can get 14, squeezed in 12 comfortably. So it's so great for entertaining. Love to have dinner parties. I love to cook. In fact, I have a little cookbook. It's called really Begged, Borrowed, and Stolen. Some of the recipes I made up, some I borrowed from friends, and some are actually stolen. So it's a fun cookbook. It's a cookbook where you would have everything you would ever want in the shelves in your kitchen, rather than recipes, when you read them, you think, what is that ingredient? Those aren't for me. I bought these doors. Also in Europe, I was able to have all these things shipped back because I was buying antiques for my shop then. Antiques were hot and heavy 25 years ago. Fortunately, they're coming back. I found this sideboard there too. And as I've told you in the past, I like to mix contemporary with very traditional, as you see with this orange sculpture. And I wanted you to notice the flowers I did here. I'm having people over tonight, so we'll have a little cocktail party. And as you know, when you have a cocktail party, your flowers can go as high and wonderful as you want them to be. And I wanted this to look like a rose garden. I found this bowl, it's by Napa, and I put oasis in it and just stuck the roses in there so they could appear to be a garden. So let's talk about the lighting in the room. These lamps here, I love them because they're so different, and they're wildwood lamps, so you can still get these, they still make them. Over here, I did find these at Scott's, an antique market in Atlanta, and I just think they're so great. The chandelier was one of the original things I picked up for the house. It's a reproduction. I think it's so pretty in this room. The rug in here is an old Mahal rug. It's very faded, which is part of why I loved it. In fact, when I loved it so much, it almost goes wall to wall in this room, but I never found one I liked any better, so I'm just happy with the size. Coming from the dining room to the butler's pantry, I keep all my china here and open it up. These are old doors from a French linen press, and my favorite is this. It's a Mata Hatta pattern. You can get it now. It's not anything old, but I love the coloration. And there are 4 different patterns on the salad plates. All my favorite colors. This was my husband's grandmother's tea service. It's sterling silver, and it's just one of our prized possessions. And as I've told you, I love mixing contemporary. So I have this art here that you might not expect coming off this gorgeous wall covering, but here it is. I think it adds a lot of interest and a little bit of a surprise. I would say the most important thing about my style is I stress in every house I do, I like a casual elegance. I want everyone who walks into a home to feel like they can sit on any piece of furniture. I don't want them to worry about messing up anything. I don't want so many pillows on a sofa that you have to move them before you can sit and be comfortable. I want everyone to feel welcome in my home or any home that I design. I like mixing contemporary with very traditional. I stress to my young clients, don't get rid of all these antiques you're inheriting and get all white furniture, but it's so much fun to throw in antiques and mix them with something contemporary art, acrylic pieces. There's just no end to the interest you can create. I always want surprises in every room, something totally unexpected. And yes, I do like color. My favorite color's always been orange, but I like lots of colors. And it's just, I love animal prints. People ask me, do you think animal prints are ever going out of style? No, they have been around forever and will always be here. And sometimes I'll put 2 or 3 animal prints in one room, back to back. I like layers upon layers. We have heart pine floors throughout the rest of the house, but I knew that wouldn't work for me in a kitchen. As I've said, I love to cook, and I'm a messy cook. I like to fry shrimp, make onion rings, all sorts of stuff, and I have flour on the floor, so I had to have something durable. And here I found these brick pavers that I think give a great look, a warm look, work well coming off the heart pine. I went to Indonesia to have my kitchen cabinets carved. I know that sounds like a stretch, and it was. I couldn't believe that I was actually doing it, particularly after I got there and got very ill. But I went with another girl that I barely knew, And when we got there, she had another agenda, so I was sort of on my own for the 2 weeks we were there. But I hired a guide who took me to some wood carvers. I knew they were in Indonesia, and that was the whole purpose of my trip, because I'd been enamored with some of their carvings I had seen in the States. I have pictures right here of going to the wood carver, and that's me about 28 years ago. And if my shirt looks wet, it is, because as you know, Indonesia is right on the equator. These are the guys drawing the plans for my kitchen cabinets. I went over there with a plan for how big every door had to be. So they just did the doors, and the guts of the cabinets were made here. They also made some molding for some places in my house. There's some of this in the living room. And then this mantle you see here, I brought back. It actually was not a mantle. It was part of a room divider going from one room to another. It was the sides were much taller, so it acted like an arch in between rooms. They obviously don't have fireplaces in Indonesia. It's way too hot. So the cabinets, for years, I had left them the color of same color as right here. They were made of mahogany. I had two choices. In Indonesia, they have mahogany and they have teak. Those are their primary woods. And they were beautiful, and for about 20 years, they were the brown wood. And then one night, I just thought, I'm tired of looking at them. I want some color in here. This room's dark. So I had all kinds of paint in the garage. And I just started pouring colors together in a bucket and ended up with this blue color, which I really like. And then took it to the paint store the next day and said, I need some more of this, and they matched it. I recently had this room painted just a bare wash of green. My husband still says he can't tell it's green, but I know it is. And I think it adds a lot. Obviously, my cabinets do not go to the ceiling, so I added all this art above to take your eye up. This piece of glass right here is from Global Views. They still have it, and I really have enjoyed looking at it. It catches the light so well. I have marble countertops. A lot of people say they don't like marble in kitchens, but as I've said, I'm a cook. And I have had this marble for a long time, and I still love it. It has red wine spilt on it. I just take Comet or Clorox, comes right up. The beams in here are made out of untreated telephone poles. And then I had someone kind of hand hewn them to make them not look quite as smooth. The ceiling has a stucco effect. We have this fabric is Kelly Wearstler, and I had a laminate covering put on it because this is where we eat all the time, and my grandchildren, and everybody spills things, and I can just wipe them off. I ordered these long hinges, which you see a lot on old French armoires. I ordered them from LB Brass, and I've enjoyed them a lot. I mentioned earlier that when we were doing the plans for this kitchen, the sink had to be against a wall because I didn't want to take away from the view to the outside with a wall of cabinets over there. So I put this window here so it wouldn't be claustrophobic. So I decided to put my children's baby cups here. They're sterling silver and they're so pretty, and I always keep flowers in it. It makes me happy to look at. Above the refrigerator, this is a reproduction of Picasso's cards. I bought them in a big sheet, had them cut it down to size so they would fit this exact spot. I think they're a nice surprise here. And I did search long and hard for all these pieces of art that would just fit up there and take your eye up, as I said before. Over here we have a dining table. This is also a Mataheta china that they still make in blue, but they quit making it my favorite color, orange. These placemats and napkin rings are by Carol Schwaver. I sell these placemats and napkin rings in my shop. These napkins can be folded into this beautiful flower. You can't do this with just any napkin. It's got to have a stiff edge to it. I think they're so pretty because they look like roses. You can then take the napkin ring off, use the napkin, and there's your glass. This is a French lavabo. They used to put hot water here. Spouts they could turn on and people would wash their face or bathe in this part. I think it's a very interesting thing to have on this little short wall. Love having plants in it. Then I found these just carvings. Now, I don't really know what they were used for originally, but I think they work perfectly over this beautiful arch. The way to make a new build look like you've been there forever is what you put in the house, to me. That's my opinion. It's more than the structure itself. It's the hominess you create. I love putting family pictures around. Landscaping makes a big difference too in a home looking not like a brand new build. Just to me, the more the better. And I guess if you had to say, am I a maximalist or a minimalist? A max would be it. Maybe somewhere in between. But I think you create the warmth as if you've lived in a home forever by having warm and cozy pieces of furniture. I think window treatments are so important in a house. A lot of men don't realize that. As an interior designer, that's usually a hard sell when you're dealing with men. They don't understand how much warmth window treatments bring to a room. And rugs, beautiful rugs on a floor. They just create the most homey atmosphere ever. Fabrics, layers of fabrics, pieces of furniture, as I've said, mixing antique with contemporary, all of those create a warm and cozy environment. Looks like you've been there forever. And now we're moving into the family room area, and this is where we live. I want to tell you about this pig. It's filled with candy. We've had this pig since my children were little and we lived across the street. We called it the grumble jar. They got an allowance, and whenever they complained about anything or just not acting the way they should, they had to put part of their allowance in the grumble jar. But it's always been filled with candy. I didn't care how much candy our children ate. All the neighborhood children would love to come over here and eat what's in there. This is the family room. This is where we live. I love this room. I have 4 swivel chairs in here. Love a swivel chair. This is a countenance fabric. You can turn over here, talk to the people on the sofa, or over here, the people in that chair. Enjoy this fireplace so much. This is a Scalamandri flame stitch. Flame stitches are back big time. And I've told you how much I love family pictures. So many of our surfaces are covered with pictures. This one is primarily friends. The rest of them are family pictures. I just think they warm any room up. Our TV is housed in this old French piece, and we do watch TV. I know it's little, but this is a cozy little room, and we just sit in here and watch football games or whatever. We have a big television in the living room, also in a cabinet, and one outside. So we have plenty of big televisions, but this seems to be the one that's watched the most. And this is an older chest here, and you can see all the wonderful family pictures. I don't know which one's my favorite. And into this hall, which is the side entrance of our house, I would love to show you my favorite picture in the whole house. These are our grandchildren. This was taken probably 2 or 3 years ago. And this is my favorite piece of artwork. One of our granddaughters did it, Catherine. She did this years ago, and I just think it's so special. She captured all the pets and every member in our family. Found this piece of artwork at Scott's. I think it's just fabulous with all the pretty colors. This is an old French piece, provides lots of storage. And this is vine, twisted, is from Indonesia. This is the door I exit when I leave the house most of the time, and I think it's so nice to have a mirror as you leave. This is our friend's entrance. I say that because people who know us well come in this door. This piece of artwork is just great too. It's by Joe Adams. He's a local artist in Macon. When I was very young, and one of my granddaughters is the same way, all I wanted to do was do paper dolls, make furniture out of paper. I've always had that creative desire. And whether it was flowers or just pasting and cutting, drawing, I always knew I wanted to do either be an interior designer or a fashion designer. As I grew older, I realized that maybe it was more attainable to be an interior designer than a fashion designer. But now I kind of have the best of both worlds, because in my shop I also sell clothes as well as everything that could be used for the interior of a home. So yes, that creativity and desire to do what I do has always been there. But my favorite thing about interior design is the people. I have gotten to know people I would never have experienced in my life. And when you do someone's home, you become very close to them. You know what they're thinking, what their desires are, what their likes and dislikes are. Sometimes you know them so well, you know about their personal lives. And that is my favorite thing about what I do. Found this piece years ago and decided to hang it in a corner. I know that's not usually done, but I just felt like it needed some interest here, and these two walls were so short there was really nothing else to do. I've enjoyed it there. This is a door that I had carved in Indonesia, and it leads into this incredible powder room that I've just done. This is a Tebow paper. This is one of my favorite papers I've seen. I actually had a paper in here that I thought I liked, and then the Tebow rep visited my shop recently and showed me this one, and I thought, I have to have it. I mean, it's the prettiest paper. I just think it's such a treat for guests to come in and experience this, all these bright colors with kind of a global feeling. And I enjoy the gold leaf on the ceiling. Had the tiles painted in Portugal years and years ago, way before we built the house, and found this chest that I made into a vanity. The opposing mirrors add a lot of interest in here, but it's just like a little treasure chest when you walk in. And now we're walking into the living room. I think my favorite thing about this room is this gallery wall. I've done gallery walls for lots of my clients because lots of them have seen pictures of this one, and it's just so interesting. I've found these paintings different places, a few from my shop, some at antique malls, lots of different places. This mantel is another room divider in Indonesia. It was a doorway, much longer on the size than it is now. These are French baking tables where they roll dough that I found in France. Pairs are hard to find. I was very lucky to find these. Love coffee table books. I mean, I just could sit down on a rainy day and thumb through any of them. This is a family picture. It's fairly recent, well, a couple of years old. It's got everybody in there, including the pets. I love an animal print, nothing better. And there's my cheetah over there. He's one of my favorite things too. We do watch television in this room when we have a crowd and don't want to watch that little one out there. It's in this cabinet here. And here are books in here that my husband reads. And when we have a party, we entertain a lot in this room. If we have a big party, set up a table here with a bigger bar than that one that's in there. I have a card table here. It's very important if you have a place for in your house, anywhere for a game table. This is great. Puzzles, for me it's bridge, and it again, like my dining table, is made from parquet from an old floor. Over here, I have this beautiful antique French chest, Amari lamps, and in this little shelf grate. It's great for displaying anything. I like to collect Amari, so that's what I put here. I have an antique French clock here. And then these funky, as I said, I like surprises in a room, so I have these unusual floor lamps here. Aren't these light fixtures incredible? They're visual comfort. They look like feathers, and they are just, I can't imagine the work that went into each of these. They're gorgeous, and I think they highlight this room. Hard finding a rug big enough for this room, but I did, and love all the colors in it. Sometimes it's hard to find one quite this big. All the colors in this room were inspired by this rug. I pulled out the green, the oranges, the golds, the browns, and to even make it more cohesive, I found this incredible fabric for the windows. It is Rudolph, pattern Paloma, color multi. Just so pretty. Then I've repeated the flame stitch from my keeping room that's on a bench in there, brought it in here because I thought it pulled the colors together also. This is some of the molding that I had carved in Indonesia. It was in the picture I showed you earlier when I was there. It's very intricate, and it was, I mean, as hard as that trip was, I'm so glad I did it. It was worth it. I love decorating my own home. It's a bigger challenge, really, because you know everything that's out there and making choices, and you have a limited amount of rooms, and like most people, I can't just change it all the time. I have things that I have changed relatively often, but rugs are staples, the furniture pieces, the casement goods, a lot of them are staples, but there are things I change. I change fabrics, window treatments, and paint colors. And paint is one of the least expensive things you can do to change your home. But yes, I love doing everybody's home, and my biggest challenge is my own. The best compliment someone could ever give me about my home is saying it's so warm and welcoming. Someone said to me one time, I've heard about you and I know you're a great interior designer. And I invited her over here. She said, but I don't want my house to be stiff. So I had her over here and her face lit up with a smile. She says, it's so welcoming. I feel like I could sit on any chair, sofa in this house and be comfortable, and you wouldn't be worried about me messing anything up. That's a big compliment to get from anybody. Our grandchildren come, we have windows that open out. They will stand on the back of the sofa and jump out onto the patio. So yes, I love a comfortable home, and that's the biggest compliment I could ever get. We have enjoyed this long porch on the back of our house. When we were building it, I was kind of at a loss. I knew we were going to have these arches out here, but I couldn't come up with columns for the longest time. Then my husband and I went to the Cloister for a vacation. The Cloister is on Sea Island in Georgia, and they had columns like this. They were so kind. I went to the office, they gave me the source to get them and ordered them, and I think they were the perfect finishing touch for this back porch. We moved in this house and went about 6 months with just pipes propping this porch up. I found this table here at an antique store, and it's just worked great out here on this porch. I serve food, love these sculptures. Just have fun with them, change out the flowers during the year. Good seating areas out here. have a fireplace at that end. Sometime I rearrange the furniture so it centers more around the fireplace, but spring here now. And I want to face out, look at the golf course. And we do have the stone fireplace down there, which is the same as the rest of the house. We had a problem back here for a long time with water. It just was saturated because it never got enough sun. So I had these stones brought in. I tried to have gardens and everything was just a pile of mush. Had the stones brought in, and that's totally solved it. Welcome to my grandchildren's room. Isn't it great? An artist here, Carol Poe, painted this for me. I told her I wanted a circus tent. She did an amazing job with it too. We have 5 grandchildren. When this room started out, we just had 1 crib over there, and then as our family grew, have 4 on bunk beds, and then we had a 5th. So this is a sofa bed, so everybody can sleep in here now, and they liked to at the time, but now some of them have gotten older and want to trail off to other rooms. But it's so fun with all the stuffed animals, and everybody has a pillow with their name on it. We have Sally, Jacqueline, Hunter, Catherine, and Charlie. So it's very personal to them, and they have drugged these animals all over the house. They've ridden some of them. We still have trucks and scooters in there, even though they're grown up, or they all think they're grown up. Some of them really are, and they're all on their way, but they still enjoy this room, and it'll always be this way. Follow me through here, and I have a surprise. My grandchildren love to go out on this balcony. They loved to wave to all their friends. And Halloween, all the neighborhood children know that they can come in this house, they run up the staircase, and they wave to all their fellow trick-or-treaters. And here's the downstairs primary bedroom. There's a larger one upstairs, but my husband and I wanted to be down, and I love the coziness of this room. All the colors in this room came from this rug. My husband was out of town, and I redid this bedroom totally. And I thought, is he going to kill me for putting lavender window treatments in here? But he came back and said it was the prettiest room in the house. So he was obviously pleased. I had this headboard made out of old artifacts. Found this chest at an antique market. Love this chest. I love the moldings on it. I think it's so gorgeous. Whimsical piece of art here. I told you I like to mix things up. And lots of family pictures on every surface in this room. I've squeezed as many in here as I could. I found this piece over here. It really had no purpose. It was actually from here to here, and I wanted to make it a bedside table, so I had this bottom part added to make it the right height and put a piece of glass on top. I think it's so pretty. Love the lamps. Again, took them from the color in the rug, repeated this color on the chair and the ottoman over here. And this is an old chair, an old French chair. I love the height of it in this corner. And my husband does sit here and read a lot. It's one of his favorite places to sit. And lots of artwork on the walls that I've just picked up at different places. Love Matouk. These are Matouk linens. I think they're just beautiful. I prefer to stack my pillows rather than having them propped up against the headboard. I just think it's a neater, cleaner look. Of course, I had to have something orange in this room, orange in the rug, and this is my signature color. Visual comfort light fixture. I think the glass is so light and airy, pretty in this room. This is a narrow space here, so I just found this console. It's great just for a little space holder, and nice to always have a mirror in the room. Again, more pictures. I had these doors made. I felt like this style door was in keeping with the outside of the house. So a local woodworker here made them and found these long hinges, which are on all of them. There's always something to inspire, whether it's a rug, a piece of fabric, a painting, or just the colors someone suggests that I do in their home. And I've been fortunate enough to do homes all over, not just in Georgia, but other places. And people are so different. Their desires are different. And my main goal is to take someone's desires, and their ideas about how they want their house to look, and elevate those ideas. Not taking away what they want, but making it even better. To me, home means comfortable. It means walking in the door and plopping down anywhere you want. It means being surrounded by family pictures. I have family pictures crowded on most flat surfaces in my house. I love looking at them. My family makes me happy. We're lucky enough to have 5 grandchildren. I have pictures of all of them at all stages of their lives. But home is really about memories, photographs, and just remembering the love that has been created in that home.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.